All right, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties this morning on the webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and just record this for you guys and go over the same stuff we were going to look at. So as I said before we got cut off, going to be a focus on how to pull data out of Business Central and NAV. So I'm going to be using Business Central for this, but a lot of this will also be applicable if you use NAV. So let's take a look at our agenda here. All right, so the agenda, we're gonna look at different ways to import and export data, and then we're also going to talk a little bit about what do I do with that data once I have it out. And then finally, we're going to review some new features of Business Central. So there was a new release in October. Some of you may have it already. Some of you will get it within the next couple weeks, and I'll go over some of those new features, which some of them I'm pretty excited about on what we've got here. All right, so let's start with the easier ones. Open and edit in Excel. So we'll flip over here to Business Central. And we're going to go to General Ledger Entries. All right, so on my General Ledger Entries page, again, I've got a full data set. Whenever I'm doing open in Excel, I want to either go ahead and filter it down to what I want to see, or just pull the whole thing out. So I've already set up a filter here. You can see 60700. If you're not familiar with how to do a saved view like that, I simply just come in here and I go to, for example, GL account number, pick my GL account, say I want to look at accounts payable. I hit the save button here, and then I can type in AP, for example. All right, so when I do that, now I have a save view that is filtered to just the 2100 account. And next time I come into my general ledger entries, there is my AP. All right, so if I take that and I come up here to page, I've got my open in Excel. So if I click this, you can see down here in the bottom, it's going to show a download. I can open that. And I'll drag this over here to my other page. All right, so there we go. I've got that same view that I just had in Business Central. Now it's out in Excel. And now I can start to do things with that. I can insert pivot table. And maybe I want to look at my amounts by posting date. So where am I spending that money? Quarter one, quarter two, whatever that may be. I can do anything that I always can do in Excel right here. I can filter out. Maybe I'm looking for a specific thing, maybe rent. Click that. And now I've got it filtered down to see that. So nice feature here, easy to open in Excel. Now if you use NAV, same idea. Remember, you can go up to that top left corner and hit open Excel just like I did there in Business Central. All right, back over here to Business Central. Now we're going to look at edit in Excel. So same idea, except what this is going to allow me to do is actually do edits in Excel and then publish that data back to Business Central. So anything, when I click edit list, you may not even know this, but I can change descriptions. There's certain things I can change, certain things I cannot. Notice like document type, can't change that, but description I can. So I can do that right here, just typing in whatever I wanted. But if I need to do a mass change, for example, maybe I posted an entry and I needed to put a description, but I just left it as rent expense, for example. So what I can do is go here to page, edit in Excel. Again, it's going to give me a download here in the bottom. I'm going to click that. I'm going to need to hit enable editing up here. And you'll notice when I do that, on my right side, I get this Microsoft Dynamics tab. Now I'm going to need to log in. So I need to sign in with an account that has access to the general ledger table inside of Business Central. And this one is specific to Business Central. So if you're using NAV, this one is not available to you, except on new versions of on-prem. You can do this on new versions. All right, so I'm going to pick my account now. I've got this test account that I've used, so I'm going to use that account. And the password I had open. Here we go. Move this to my other screen, and I'll paste that in here. All right, so I'm going to do that, and I sign in. I'm not going to stay signed in because I don't want to be in that account all the time. So you'll notice down here it's getting data from Business Central. So there it is. There's my data. Now, if I want to make a change, for example, let's say I want to change this one. I'm going to say change this value. I'm going to type that in. You got to go off that value so it takes, and then I'm going to hit publish. So and I can do this across all of my pages inside of BC. So if I'm doing an entry or anything like that, anywhere where that edit in Excel is available, I can make these changes. Think about maybe a customer list. Maybe I'm adding customers. I can do it there. Maybe I'm changing the customer posting group for a mass change or an item posting group. I've entered something incorrectly and I need to fix it. So this is a way to do it. Once I hit publish, you'll notice down here it's telling me it's publishing. And it tells me it was successful. Now, if I did something that I wasn't allowed to do, maybe I tried to change the account number, which isn't allowed, I would have got an error there. All right, so I'm going to minimize my Excel page here. We're going to go back into Business Central. And I'm going to refresh this page. And when I do that, we're going to take a look at that description I just changed, and we'll notice that it is updated right there. Change this value. So whatever I typed out there and published, that's what updates in Business Central. Nice feature. Good way to mass update data quickly and do it in Excel. So I can have a template for customers, for example, pull that out, add my customers, publish, and they will all be created. All right, so back over here to PowerPoint. Next one, copy and paste. So there is copy and paste functionality. We know in NAV this is a really great feature. I can select any amount of rows, hit copy, paste it out to Excel, paste it back in. Same functionality is available in Business Central, so I'm going to show you that now. All right, so for this one, I'm going to go to a general journal. All right, so I've got this general journal. Now what I typically do, let me go over here to the default batch first. The nice thing about this is if I can set myself up a template in Excel, enter my entries there, and then paste them in. So if I have a big entry that I do, maybe a payroll entry, for example, every month, what this would allow me to do is copy and paste that entry in. So all I have to do is kind of set my template up. Once I do that, then I can copy and paste. Now the way I do that is I'm going to hit select more, and I'm going to select the rows that I want to copy. So I'm actually just going to copy these two here. So I'm going to do this journal entry right here. Now you have to hit Control C. Oops. Let me just actually filter to that document number. And I'm just going to select this one. All right, so I hit Control C. You saw real quick it said one row copy there. I'll do it again here. One row copy. So I can come out to Excel now. I'm going to open up a new Excel document. And I'm going to hit Control V. So when I do that, you can see it copies it in. So now what I can do is update this. Let's say I want to do 99. And I'm going to just leave this like this to show you how it works. Now what I can do is copy this. So I'm just selecting, you do need to select the header row and then anything else. So I could have added, 100 rows here. Copy and pasted them in, made sure they're in the right format, just like this. Copy it. So I've copied it in Excel. Now I'm going to come back into Business Central. And let's go down a row here. I'm going to select into a row and I'm going to paste. So I hit Control V and notice it pasted that row right in here for me. So a nice way to get that data into the system. And then I can post that just like I always would had I had just keyed that in. All right, so that's copy and paste. So I said we're going to start with the easy ones and then we're going to get a little more advanced. So the next one is my configuration packages. Now this is available in NAV and BC. I think it's an underutilized feature. We use this a lot to bring data in, but people don't use it much to update data or pull data out. So let's take a look at that and see how that works. All right, so back to Business Central here. And let's get back to the home page. And I'm going to search for configuration package. So here it is. Select that. And I'll create a new one. And we'll do customer. So I'm going to say customer upload. All right, so I'm going to put that in. You can put the product version and all that, but you don't have to. I don't usually key that. I just usually give the code and a name. And then what we are able to do is import, export data from any table inside of the system. So these could be custom tables. If you use one of our verticals, you can do that. If you have a custom table that we've created, you can pull that. So what I'm going to do, if I don't know the number, I happen to know this one, it's 18, but I'm going to show you I can look up as well. So if I hit those three dots, it pops this open. And I know I want to do customer, so I'm just going to search for it. So I type that in and I get anything that has customer in it. Here's the one I want. Select it, say OK. Going to tab off. Usually I just go down a row. That gets it to commit. It will tell us if there are related tables. So in this case, there are related tables, ship to code, things like that. Do you want to bring those in? I'm going to say no here. I don't. I just want to do the customer table. All right, so there's my customer table. And we notice we have 106 fields within that table. And I can bring in data or pull out data for all of those. I also can see how much I have in the database currently. Currently I have 8 customer records. If I click that, it will take me directly to that page. So I can see here's all the customers I currently have. Now, what I want to do though is actually modify a customer. So a couple things I want to show before we actually pull the data out and make those changes. I can go into this fields included box. So I just click this and it's going to bring up, here are all the fields that are currently in the customer table. And as of now, if I were to export this data, I would get every single record. Now, you'll notice there's a lot of things you may not need. So you can actually limit this data. If you're working with big data sets, this is a good idea to do because it will speed up the processing time. If I'm bringing in 106 fields and I'm bringing in 100,000 records, that's going to take a long time. So what I want to do is kind of limit what I actually need. So I'm going to hit edit list here. Now I'm not going to go through this and bore you with all that, but I'm going to show you I can unselect certain fields. So I'll select that. So we'll just do a few here. All right, so I'll do that. And then when I come back out, and I can go out and then come back in. Notice now my fields is down to 100 because I unselected 6 of those that I don't need. So we got rid of those. Now, something else I can do in here. Let's say for whatever reason my customer posting group, I put it in incorrectly and I just want to mass update what's in there. So what I'm going to do is come to this mapping. I'm going to click on the field that I want to map. I'm going to go to mapping right here. And my current value, I know it's set to new, I believe. And I want to update it to domestic. All right, so I do that and I close the page, close this. And what I can now do is export this package. So I come up here to package and I say export to Excel. So when I do this, what this is basically going to do for me is create a template for an upload. So I'm going to hit that, say yes. It's going to do its thing here. So again, a lot of data that may take a few minutes, but we only have 8 records, very quick. All right, so open that up. Here is a list of all my customers. So you can see right now that customer posting group is new. And what I'm going to show you here is I'm just going to save this, and I'm not going to touch anything. But since I set that mapping up, when I bring it back in, it's going to change all these customer posting groups for me to domestic. So let's hit save, close this, go back to Business Central, and I'm going to come back into package, and I'm going to say import from Excel. So it's going to say, yep, you want to import. I want to choose my file, and I know it's this one right here. I could have renamed it, whatever I wanted to do there, but I can open it now, and it's going to import those records in for me. So I'm going to click import. All right, now once they're imported, you'll notice this number of package records has updated. So now I have 8 records in my package. Nothing has been committed to the system yet. If I were to click on that, here's all my records. Should look just like my Excel file. Say OK, and then apply that package. So when it gets done, I can see I had 1 table process, which I would expect because I only had 1 table in here, and it's modified 8 records. So say OK. So now I'm clicking out to see my item or my specific customers, and notice now my customer posting group that used to be new, now it's set to domestic. So quick, easy way to quickly update data in a quick fashion. All right, so a few more things we're going to look at here. This is, like I said, a pretty powerful tool. I think it's underutilized. So I'm going to go back into my fields included, and I'm going to remove that mapping because I don't want to do it this time. So go to customer posting group, go into my mapping, and I'm just going to delete that. Close that out. Come in here. So the next thing I want to show you is you can actually filter this as well. So as I pull data out or bring data in, I can set filters. So I'm going to set a filter here, and I can filter on a field that I have included. So I'm going to do city. So I'm going to say, give me all my customers that are Lexington. And I can set as many filters as I want as I pull that data out. So I'm going to close that. And I'm going to go to my package, and I'm going to export this one to Excel. All right, so when I do that, open up my file here. Notice I had my filter set to Lexington, and I only got that customer to Lexington. So what I want to show you now is I can update this city. So maybe that wasn't correct. Maybe it was actually supposed to be Louisville. And I'm going to save that. So now what I'm showing you is I can update records. I can also add records. So what I can do is use this as my template, and I can add a new customer. So if I had a big list that I needed to bring in, this is a good way to do that. And I'm not going to fill all these fields out just to save time, but just to show you how this works. All right. Now, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use a posting group that I know does not exist because I want to show you some of the validations this configuration package can do. All right, so I've added a customer. I'm going to say save. I've also updated a customer. So I've updated the first one from the city from Lexington to Louisville, and I've added a new customer to this list. So when I import this, it's going to insert this record for me, assuming I don't have any errors. All right, so back in here, I'm going to turn that filter off now. I'm going to delete that. And again, I'm going to go to package and I'm going to import. So I'm going to use that file I just created. Here it is. Import. All right, so I have 2 package records. And I'm going to apply that. Now again, I could click on this and I could see those that I'm about to change or bring in. I'm going to hit process, apply package here. All right, so when I do that, I got 1 error and 1 record inserted. So I say okay. So now I can see I did have an error and we want to know what that was. So I can click on the package errors now. And I can see it's my new customer I was trying to add that's causing my error. And I can say show error right here. And it'll tell me, here's your problem. You tried to enter a customer posting group that did not exist. It's called default. So I can click on this and it'll actually take me to the record. And what I like about this is it tells me, okay, it was customer test 1, and here was the value that caused the error. So I said, oh, we don't use default, we use new, for example. Say okay. Close out of these. Notice now my error has gone away. I don't have anything in my error anymore. And I can apply that again. So I could have done that multiple ways. I could have reopened my Excel file, fixed the error. But if you only have a few, that's a great way to do it. So it validates those records against business rules. It knows default didn't exist, gave me the error, and I fixed it right here inside of Business Central. And I can do this in NAV. This screen looks exactly the same as if I was in NAV or Business Central. I hit apply package, say yes. And I got 1 record modified. So it fixed that error I had because I used a customer posting group that does exist. And notice no longer do I have any package records, but I now have 9. I used to have 8, now I have 9. I can click on that and I can see there's my new customer that was imported in. So again, if you have large record sets that you need to either update or you need to add additional records to a table, this is a great way to do it. And that can be used on any table. I can do it for general journal entries. I can do it for purchase invoices. I can do it for items, whatever it is. Any table that's in the system, I can update through the configuration packages. All right. That is configuration package. All right, so back here, I'm going to show you 2 more that are similar. Web services. So again, this is available with Business Central, also available in the newer versions of NAV or BC on-prem. So this is a great way to create refreshable reports. These can either be done in Power BI. If you were on our Power BI session, we used Excel, but you could also use an OData source, and that's what these would be. Where I use these mostly, though, is to create refreshable Excel reports. So let's show you how that works. So going back to Business Central, going to search for web services. All right, so there are default ones, and you'll notice I have an object type here. So there's 3 different types of objects. You've got queries. So a query is just going to query a table and give you certain things. You'll notice there's already some Power BI ones that they're out here. We have pages, which is the one I use the most. So this would be a way to just create a refreshable Excel based off a page inside the system. And then the last one is a code unit. Now, a code unit typically would be something we would help develop for you. But if you added if you wanted to combine a bunch of pages together, we could create a code unit that then would be used as a web service that then you could use in Excel, Power BI, whatever it may be. So I'm going to use page in our example here today. And I know what I'm looking for is vendor ledgers. So I'm going to type in vendor, and I can see I've got a vendor ledger entry page. I got a couple choices. One that is just invoices, one that is all vendor ledger entries. So I'm going to use the one that's all. And this is pretty easy to do. So what I'm going to do is just copy the OData URL. So I'll just simply right click, copy the link, come out to Excel. Let's open a new page here, or a new workbook. And now once I'm in Excel and I have that copied, I'm going to go to Data, Get Data, from Other Sources, and then it's an OData feed. So remember we copied an OData URL, so that's what we're trying to get is an OData feed here. And it's going to give me a place to copy that URL in. So I'm going to copy that in. Now I have seen it can act a little strange when you copy that. You usually want to see something with a dash, a slash, and then vendor ledger entries here. Say OK. And then it's going to pop into a preview screen. So I can see here's what I'm bringing in. Yep, that looks right. That's my vendor ledger entries. And then I have a couple options. I can load it just right into my Excel file, or I can do transform data. So if I click transform data, and if you were on our Power BI, you're going to see something similar to what you saw in that. It's going to bring you into Power Query. So this Power Query allows me to do some data transformation before I actually load it into my Excel file. So for example, if I only wanted to see credit memos, I could do that, say OK. And now I'm only going to see my credit memos when I load that data. Now for this example, I actually want to see everything, but I did want to show you that you can do that. You can also, change, remove columns, get rid of things you don't need, change the data type, things like that. But for now, we're going to keep it simple, and we're going to say close and load here. So when I hit close and load, it's going to come out here to my Excel file, and you can see over here it's starting to refresh data. All right, so now I've got this table that it pulled in from Business Central or NAV, either way, whatever source I'm pulling, but it's an OData web service that it's pulling, and you can see I've got all my data listed here. Now the great thing about this is now I can build things off of this. I could add additional pages and do some relationships between them, but for this we'll just keep it simple. And let's say I wanted to enter a pivot table, and I wanted to know by vendor number how much have I spent with a vendor, and I only want to see payments, for example. All right, so now I can see from here how much I've spent on each vendor, and then maybe I want to know by year how much I've spent per vendor. It's a good way to see that vendor spend that I'm doing. Maybe I want to pull just 1099 vendors, something like that. I could do all of that right here in Excel, and I have my data behind it that's making this up. Now the great thing about using these web services is now this is a refreshable Excel report. So anytime I open this Excel file, I can come to data and I can hit refresh. Notice over here as I hit refresh, this query is refreshing, and had I added additional values, those would have loaded, and my pivot table would have also updated with that. So that is a great way to get data out, have an Excel refreshable report that I can just run monthly, weekly, daily, whatever it is. I can hit that refresh at any point. And you have all the power of Excel. So if I wanted to say refresh every time I open, things like that, you can do that inside of this. All right. Now, what if this web service, yeah, it's good, it's got what I want, but I really just want it to go ahead and filter out just to payments, for example. So I don't want to see all the rest, and it's slowing down my refresh. I have 100,000 records in there, of which 50% are invoices. I don't want to spend the time hitting refresh to see all those. So what I can actually do is create my own data set. And this is a little bit confusing to find, but if I come to actions, I'm going to hit new document, and I'm going to say create data set. So when I click that, it's going to open up a wizard. So I'm just going to hit next here. And then I have a couple options. Let me make this a little smaller so it's easier to see. So we've got create a new data set, create a copy of an existing, or edit an existing. So I'm going to just say, let's create one from scratch. And we're going to give it a name. So I'm going to call this VLE for vendor ledger entries _ payments. And then I got to tell it which page it is. Now I happen to know this one's 29 just by seeing out here that vendor ledger entries is 29. But if I didn't know, I could click this, and just like we did on configuration packages, I could search for a certain thing. So if I type in vendor, it's going to try to search there and find it. Maybe. All right, so there it's done. I know I need vendor ledger entries, so I say okay. I'm going to hit next. All right, so at this point, I could tell it which fields I want to include. So I can uncheck some or check some. But what I want to show you is this add filters. So I'm going to click add filter here. And now I've got all the fields that were within that. And I could say, I only want to see payments. So I'm going to click payment here and filter that down to just payment. Say okay. And again, the nice thing about this, no development needed. You don't need to call us. You can just do this yourself. All right, so I've added that filter and I'm going to hit publish. And say finish. And then let's refresh this. And we'll sort it by object ID. We'll scroll down. We know we're looking for 29. I can't find it. I know it was page 29. Let's type that in. Let me actually refresh that to get it to show up here. All right, so here it is. Vendor ledger entry _ payments, same one we just did. And now it's the same thing that we just did. We would copy the link, come to an Excel file, and do that same thing we just did. Get data from online, from other sources, from OData feed, and paste that in there. So that's how that would work. We did okay, and then it would be the same thing we just saw. All right, so that is web services, and they create data sets. So those are those two. Now the last option for doing an import, export, or just pulling data out would be to do a custom one. So where this one may come into play is maybe I'm getting a file from a customer and there's some specific things that need to happen. Maybe I'm mapping GL accounts, or I'm mapping an item that's not one of my items to one of their items. We can do a custom import. So that one does require development, but it also opens up the possibilities of what we can do. We can almost pretty much do anything at that point. We can do any type of file, CSV, tab delimited, XML, JSON, whatever it may be, we can import that in. We can also create those custom web services through an API. So if I just want two systems to talk, I can create web services that talk between two systems, and they can pass data back and forth. So that's, again, a custom piece that we can help you out with. If you need help, let me know. All right, so that's kind of the first piece of what we wanted to do. Just show you some tips and tricks on how to get data out, data in, and some underutilized features. I would definitely look into that configuration package. That's a great way to do mass updates, or just to pull a lot of data out at once into Excel if needed. All right, so the last half of the session, I want to look at some of the new features that have come out in the October release. Now, obviously, if you're on NAV, you won't see these, but one advantage of going to Business Central is the system is updated automatically by Microsoft, and you get the new features automatically as they come out. So anybody that's running Business Central hosted, these will be out as soon as now, all the way over the next couple weeks. All the tenants should be updated. If you have a specific date you would like your tenant to be updated, let us know. We can set dates and times so you don't happen to accidentally mess up business hours. Usually happens in the evenings at night. I know some of you work through the night, so we might need to schedule it on a Sunday. Just let us know when that may need to be happening. All right, so I put a link in here. If you go out to this link, you'll get a list of all the new features that have come out. You can see there's a lot. I'm not going to go over all of them. I'm just going to hit the ones that I think are the most relevant and the ones I just find the coolest. So if you want to see the rest, though, you can come out. You can see a long list of new features. And these come out mass releases, usually twice a year, and then small releases throughout the year. At any point, you can come to this link and see what might be in those. All right, so let's go through the ones that I think are the coolest. All right, so first one we're going to talk about. There is a track packages feature that has been added. So first thing you want to do is check your shipping agents. And when I do that, I can see I've set up DHL, FedEx, and UPS, and notice I have a URL in here. So what this URL will do is when I track a package against one of these shipping agents, it's going to go out to their website and give, based on the tracking number I've entered, give me the ability to see where that package may be. So if I go to posted sales invoices, for example, and I were to click on an invoice. Now, I have to have entered the shipping agent service and entered and then at that point, I can come up here to process, hit track package, key in that tracking number, or we could work on making it talk to your UPS World Ship or your FedEx systems and get that package tracking number in. But when I click this, now this isn't going to work, but if I were to click that, I would get a new tab out to UPS and it would show me where that package is. So that's a nice feature there that they've added. All right, let's come back out here to our home page. All right, so the next one, I think this one's really cool. This is a check financial journals in the background. So what this allows us to do is see errors before we try to post. I know a lot of you get frustrated. You try to post something, it gives you an error. You don't know what it is. You don't know which line caused it. This is a really nice feature that they've added to see those. Now, first thing you need to do, some of these are not configured automatically. With the new updates, you actually have to turn them on. So I want to show you this first. If you come out here to feature management, you'll see a list of features that are potentially available. I've gone ahead and turned the ones I want to show you on. So that's this one right here is the one we're going to look at. But notice it originally was turned to none. I clicked this and said turn it on for all users. And that then enabled it. You'll see that in Q4 of 2021, this will be automatically enabled. Until then, you would come in and turn it on for your particular tenant. All right, so let's show you how that works. So I'm going to come out. I'm going to go to General Journal. All right, so you'll notice if I turn on my fact box over here, I've now got this journal check that I can look at. So it's checked 5 lines. There's 4 lines that have issues, and then there's 5 issues total. Also notice, as I'm on my current line, it will tell me what the problem is. So for rent expense, I have turned on that I must enter a customer group code in order to post to that. So it's telling me right here, you must select a dimension value code for customer group for that account. So I know before I try to post, I've got an error that I need to correct. Simply come in here, select my group, come off of it, come back. No issues now because I've got that correct. Go down to my next one, no issues on that line. Come down to this one. Now this one, I've got 2 problems. A, I don't have a customer group for rent expense, the 6100 account. But also this one is out of balance. So 994, you can see it's here twice. It's 50, 50. We don't have a negative to offset that. So it's telling me your document number is out of balance by $100. So this is a really nice, I really like this one. This is one of my favorite ones they put out. it gives you right there, quick, easy way to see where I might potentially have issues. And I can also click on this 4, and it'll show me all my issues within that batch. So I can quickly see where are my issues and find those out. You also remember, if I try to post something without this turned on, I will get the first error. It will tell me it will stop on the first error. I fix that. I post again. I get the second error, the third error, the fourth error. This way, it gives me an ability to see all the errors at once, make the fixes, and then post. Not wasting a lot of time tracking down those errors. All right. Next one I want to point out is this one's pretty cool. This is a copy to posted journal line. So what they've given us the ability to do is actually have the ability to copy previous journal entries. So again, I go to feature management. I think this one's in here. Yeah, so right here, I got to turn it on, and it will come out in Q4 2021. But until then, I can turn it on. And what this does is actually there's a new table, and that is called posted. I think it's called posted general journal. Yep, so posted general journal. And now, once I turn that on, this table will start to be filled in. And what the nice thing about this is I can select as many rows as I want. So if I had more rows in here, I could select more. And I have 2 options up here: copy selected to journal, or copy the GL register. Now, what the difference between these are is the GL register will be the full journal entry versus just selecting a line will just copy that line. So the way this works is I just select the ones I want to copy, hit copy, and it's going to say, okay, where do you want to send this? So I want to send this to a general journal, and I'm going to send it to the default batch. I need to use a new date because I'm in a new month. So I'm going to say, let's post that on the 31st, and I'm going to give it a new document number. Now, if I need to reverse something, I could use the reverse sign and reverse that out. But I'm not going to reverse that. I'm just going to say, okay, this is just something I'm doing. And it's going to say, okay, we posted one of your general journal lines to the general journal. Do you want to see that? I'm going to say, yeah, I do. So I'm going to hit yes. And then here it is. There's the one I just added, and it copied it right over there for me. So really nice functionality there that they've added to do quick journal entries. If maybe something you're doing a lot and you just want to copy that in. Now, in order for that to work, you have to go to the feature management. You also have to turn it on at the batch level. So if I click on this and I see my batch, over here, copy to posted journal lines, you have to turn that on for each batch you want that to work for. So that's what that is. And that is that feature. Another nice one. I really like that one as well. All right, next one I want to show you is on the recurring journals. A lot of times people ask me, when I do a reversing recurring journal, can I tell it what date I want the reversal to happen? The current answer is no, you cannot. It just uses the next day. So you're having to post those all kind of on the last day of the month and then reverse them on the first day of the month. They have added functionality so that you can set that reversal date. So if I come here and I go to recurring journal, and I want to go to general. All right, so I'm in a recurring general journal, and you'll see a new field here, reverse date calculation. Now, this will not be there by default. You'll need to hit personalize and add that field. So you'll just hit personalize, go to field, find that one that's called reverse date calculation, drag it on to the journal. Now, what this allows you to do is set a reverse date calculation. So you'll use just like the 1 month and whatever those recurring frequency dates are. Same idea, use the same formulas here. But now if I wanted to say do the posting date plus 30 days, something like that, I'm able to do that in this reverse date calculation field. All right, so another one I'm just going to mention, there's not much to show, but there is a notify users of high-risk changes in selected fields. So what you can do is actually turn on if someone were to change a certain field, you want to throw an error, not an error, a warning up that says, "Are you sure you want to change this? This could cause problems." So you can do that on any field within the system. You can turn that on. So that's a nice update as well there. All right. One other major one I want to show you is they have changed this bank rec window. Not much has changed, but they've made it so that it's much easier to read. So I'm going to just go into a bank rec. Click on this one I've already got open. Notice that this is a much larger space than it used to be. It used to be real crammed up. You couldn't see everything. There wasn't much data down below. Much smaller area. They've made that much bigger. So now I can see a lot more here in my bank rec. Easy one, but a nice feature there as well. All right, a couple other things I want to show you. They've changed some of the page styling. You might have noticed it before, but let's just show two at once here. So I'm going to go over to my items. And let's go into an item. So a couple things that they've changed, just terminology. Before, you might remember there was multiple things that said navigate or actions, and then you had to go there. They've changed that to say related. So now when I click related, that's where the old navigate was, and they've changed the name of that. Also, this used to just say report. Now it says reports. Just a simple thing, but they've updated some of that knowledge. Also, when I look at, where is it? It wouldn't be here. I'll show you that one in a second. All right, so one other thing I wanted to show you on the item, there's a nice little button here now called Adjust Inventory. So if I click that, it actually will bring up each warehouse and how much inventory is in there. And you can actually make your updates and adjust it at the item level very quickly. So if someone says, this one should be 0 and it should have been in the east, I can do that, hit OK, and it will create that adjustment for me right here from the item. Pretty nice feature, real quick way to do that there. Also, you've got this edit, adjust inventory. You notice that's a little bit different than what you might have seen in the prior versions. They've just changed some of the page stylings there. So nothing major, but just a little bit different look. All right, I'm going to cancel that. All right, a few more and then we'll be done. These are ones that are not out yet but are coming soon that I wanted to point out. There's an enhanced email capability. The major thing with this, if you remember right now, you only have one account that you can send emails from the system. That's all done in this SMTP mail setup. And I can only have the one user ID. Any document I send automatically throughout the system is going to come from this user ID or a send as if I change it here. They are adding functionality for multiple user accounts. So if I want to send purchase orders from one email and sales orders from another one, that's going to be available in a future release. So stay tuned on that one, but that is a nice enhancement that we know we wanted. We had even talked about doing some of that as a mod for people, but we won't need to do that with that new feature. The other one I just wanted to point out, there is a new Teams integration, and this is pretty neat. It's not available just yet, but I wanted to show you just here in the link what that will look like. So what I can do now, once I have this Teams integration enabled, and I can actually download a preview right now. So if you just go to the apps here and search for Business Central, you'll see it. But what it allows you to do now is copy a link from Business Central. So I can copy that link, paste it into my Teams conversation, send it off to somebody, and you'll see like this item, it will pop up a preview. So they can see, okay, this is the Berlin chair. That's what it looks like. Here's what I've got on hand. And then maybe ask a question about it. Also, like down here, you see they got the adjust inventory. So they've sent this to somebody. They were on the adjust inventory screen in Business Central. They copied that link and said, hey, you need to adjust these. They can do it right there in Teams, say okay, and it will update that inside of the system. So real nice functionality. We'll see more and more of that, I think, coming down the road from Microsoft as they try to integrate all their different apps. All right, so that's it for this session. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties we had on the actual live session, but hopefully this will give you the same information and on demand anytime you want to watch it. Thank you.